Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm starting this example on a Navs game standard 600 or 6,000 by 6,000 map. Starting out, I think I'm still level 0 or something. Anyway, this location is in the pine forest, and this farm building is the farm _05. Now, I'm going to do this with the assistance of the debug mode and creative mode, or cheat menu, if you want to call it that. Mostly to save time. All of what I'm going to do pretty much can be done in a standard game without the cheat menu or creative menu or anything else like that. The reason I'm starting here at this farmhouse is because over this way out here is the farmer's field, or part of it anyway, and it's a nice big level field that doesn't really require anything but the removal of some trees for what I'm going to do. Now, like I said, I'm using creative menu to speed this process up a bit, but of course you could do everything in a legitimate game without doing that. So I'm going here, creative menu, and the first thing I'm going to do is get a couple of storage boxes and put them down so I can store stuff, and then I will get busy doing getting some blocks and doing some basic layout work, and then I'll get back to you on that. Okay, so what I've done now is I put down 3 storage boxes somewhere around here. And what I did is I laid out this big L with just the general building blocks. Each double block is 10. So that's 10, 20, 30, 10, 20, 30. And then I selected this area with the Z key. Now what I'm going to do is go into this and got to make sure I got the empty block, which is this one here, selected. When I go in here, random decorate the set. And what that'll do is, because there's nothing in that number 1 slot, it will basically replace anything that's sticking up with nothing. And just clicking on this key numerous times should clear everything out of that space down to the soil, I believe. Anything that it doesn't get, I'll have to go in there and chop it or clear it out by hand. But as you can see, although it doesn't show on the screen, it's pretty much cleared this area nicely. So that's the first couple of steps in the process. Is come out here. This, like I said, is a pretty nice, even piece of ground already. And 30 squares by 30 squares, these blocks are supposed to be a meter. I guess they are. I don't really know. Can't put a tape measure on them. But 30 meters is 100 feet. So that's a square, 100 by 100 feet, or 30 meters by 30 meters. Actually, it looks like that should go out, because the first one is 1 meter. So this should go out one more block. Go out one more block. And I think, yeah, this one has already gone out one more block. So I'm not going to worry too much about this little stuff in here. Pick up that stone. So we have this area delineated. And what comes next is to populate this. Oops, look at there. We got a bush. Take that bush out. That's the only one that didn't seem to get. We're going to want to populate this space with pine trees. Big ones. See if I can find an example here somewhere. This looks like a good one here. Like this. He's got a bare trunk up. These are 17 meters tall or something like that. So we go here and into creative menu once again, and then we look for outdoor props. Pine trees. Let's try the 27. Mountain pine. Try the 27. Wow, that's pretty naked. Only got a little bit at the top. See if we got a slightly better example here. Oh, no. Just want the one. That don't look much better. Anyway, you can play around with that a little bit to get the tree type that you want. that back in the one slot. Now, unfortunately, I've lost my selection out here, but it's pretty easy to regain. I'll get rid of that for right now. Just get right there, hit the Z key. Oops. Backspace, dismiss. There we go, right there in the corner. And then we come over here again on the diagonal. And should be somewhere over about in here, I believe. Not exactly. But once again, easy enough to stretch that out. And one more. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to want to go back again here. Remember, I had to select the number 1. And I want to do random set decorate. I think I might want to back up so I'm not. There we go. I don't want to be in the space, I think. So I'll do one click. And see how it fills in. But that's not quite enough. So I want to do 2 clicks. Now that's starting to get pretty full. I'm going to go for a 3rd click. That might be too much. And you see how it fills in that space with trees. Now, the 3rd click may have been too much because it doesn't leave a whole lot of room here. But I think it leaves enough. It looks like it's probably enough to be able to run around in here. The only thing is, got to be careful not to get boxed in. Some of the spaces are a little more open, some not so open. Oops. Time is getting late, so it's getting dark. Let's get back here in the morning. There we go. So that's it, pretty much. Now, one of the things that I thought would be interesting to do to add to this, oh, there's my storage boxes over here. See, I've got a nice little block of trees. And of course, the idea being that after watching numerous people work on doing the Glock 9's all-wood base challenge, and seeing, much more than half of them, the bases get destroyed enough where the people have to abandon the bases and just run around on the ground fighting for their life, hoping to last out until 4 o'clock in the morning. And I thought to myself, well, effectively, if you have to abandon your base either voluntarily or because it's so destroyed that you can't use it practically anymore, you've lost the challenge. And you might as well just go out somewhere where there's really dense woods and just run around in the woods. Use the woods, the trees in the woods as defense. And so I came up with this idea. I turned that off. I just make my own little forested area. Of course, I'm in Q mode here, so I can run through these trees. But you know, it'd be pretty hard for the zombies to chase you around through these trees. I don't know exactly how many hit points. Let's see here. That tree's got 900 hit points. Yeah, of course, they're all the same, so they all have 900 hit points. That's a little bit better than a wooden block, which only has, I think, 500 hit points. And I also don't believe that the zombies spend too much time pounding on the natural vegetation in frustration if they can't get to you. Now, of course, could remove all of these blocks here, so you don't have to hop over them getting in and out. And there's one other little thing that I wanted to add to this, although this is so well packed in here, I don't think it would even be necessary. Of course, the big thing is, like I said, that third click might have been too much on the trees. 2 clicks was pretty good. 3 clicks might have been too much, so I might want to clear that out and redo it, which is pretty easy. You just select it all, put 0 in number 1 slot. Take this out of here. Let's highlight the 0 slot, or the 1 slot with nothing, and just put the selection tool on there again. That's Z and Z. So I could come back in here, put my Z in the corner, go out here into diagonal, which should be somewhere over about here. Press the Z key again. G. Move that out a little further. That's out far enough. Make sure I have the number 1 key is selected. Go back here. Go here, and now I can't really see what that's done. If it's depopulated the forest very much. Yeah, I see a lot of it's gone away now on the interior. That's probably a little better. It's a little more open. Not so the zombies can get around in there easier, but so I can. Yeah, that looks much better. So you might have to experiment with that a little. Now, of course, this is all used in creative mode. The main difference being that if you do this, and you actually get out here to farm, there's a nice big level piece of ground out here. You wouldn't have to do much work at all to level it out. Knock down the bushes would probably be the biggest task, so they don't interfere. But if you're not going to use the creative menu to do all this, and you're going to do it the game in the natural state, you'd have to get a bunch of seeds for these pine trees, which means you'd have to chop a bunch of them down to get their seeds. which is a piece of work, but it'll yield you a lot of wood. And then if you're doing that with the seeds, you have to be also aware of one little thing. If you're manually planting the seeds, I do believe. Let me see here. Where are the seeds? Seemingly they're in a different location. Dead pine leaf. Might have to go. Pine seed, blue spruce, grass seed. Now that's a seedling for a pine, but I don't know how big that pine will get. One thing is, you cannot plant these right next to each other. See, the square is red. You have to leave 3 empty spaces between the trees. It will not allow you to place them right next to each other. So that's 1, 2, 3. There we go. There's 1. So that's 1 with 3 empty spaces and 2. Now when they grow up, they're going to grow up to be pine trees. But I don't know what kind of pine trees. I guess it just depends on how they grow up. Or when you pick the seeds themselves. But of course that's going to take 1 or 2 in-game days for that to grow and fully mature, so you can see what kind of a tree you have. Okay, folks, if you want to take even more advantage of this little forest here, you can add some totally organic walls with dirt of various kinds. And you can find the dirt here. I mean, of course, you can go around and dig it up, or you can just find it here in there, props outdoor. These are the various kinds of dirt, soil, ores. I thought about using iron ore, but that seemed a little over the top, because it's unlikely you're going to find walls of iron ore, although the stuff is pretty stout. Probably the easiest one to use is this adaptive terrain filler. What it does is it takes the properties of the place or the cover that you put it down in and copies those properties. So like here in the game, this is the forest floor. If I put one of these blocks down, it will mimic the ground cover in this area. Or you can just use plain old dirt, forest ground, burnt forest ground, all these different options. Topsoil, don't want to do snow, sandstone, you know, nothing that seems inappropriate for the environment. plain old gravel, asphalt, that obviously doesn't seem like a good idea. If you want it to match. Now I could do a coal vein, iron vein, which probably has pretty good hit points as well. But I'll just stick with the adaptive terrain filler, which I've already loaded in here. Oop, that's iron ore. Oh, here it is. Adaptive terrain filler. I split the 500 stack into 250 and then split that again and put half of it on my toolbar. So we can escape out of there. Select, to give you an idea of what this will do. Go out here, a piece of blank ground. Choose 3, and there it is. So if I right click, it makes a pile, and I can stack it. One, 2, 3 high. Now, I go over here. Oops, a little too close. See, it has hit points of 200, not very high, about half what a wooden block has. But you can stack these next to each other and make an earth wall, effectively, or forest floor wall. This appears to have been picked up a little bit of stone. It's mimicking down here in the ground. So I will erase that. See, it left a little divot in the ground there. So if I use that, maybe that's, no, that level, no. Still, it leaves a little hole in the ground there. So I can go over here and say on the outside perimeter, if I want to add this. Now I'm not going to make a solid wall. I'm going to make the wall, say, this can be the tricky part, is getting it to stack. There we go. Now, of course, what you're going to want to do is make sure, as you develop your character, that he's got enough parkour to be able to jump over a 3-high wall. And there you have it. There's a little mini wall, which if I'm not in God mode, my player level is almost zilch. Level 1. Because I haven't changed up the character. So see, I can't jump high enough to get over that wall. But what I can do, I can go over here and hide behind that wall. For a little bit, anyway. That might give me enough time to do a first aid on my character, or reload weapons, or possibly even repair a weapon. And of course, you can go around in the interior in various places. Like here's a place. And I could put a little wall across here. Now that's got some gaps in it, which could be filled, or I could just leave them open. So I could see through, because I could still hide through, or hide behind one of these blocks. Or if I wanted to, I could fill it in. It all depends on how the blocks themselves are oriented. So if I go here, here, and here, for instance, that makes for a pretty solid little wall. Like that. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to run around on the perimeter and build some more of these walls. And I'll get back to you when I'm done with that. And there you have it. The eco-friendly and organic Hoard base. But it seems as though there's not the ability to put all of that in there. There we go. The eco-friendly Hoard base. There it is. And the only thing is right now, of course, I'm a level 1 player with anyway, that's it. So all I got to do now is upgrade my character, because this is a new map, and get him ready to play. Obviously, I think that things like Deadeye might be advantageous. The Penetrator, big and fast, almost definitely. I don't know about Pack Mule or any of these other traits in here. Healing factor, iron gut, cardio, almost certainly want to be jacked up, as well as pain tolerance. Machine gunner, I think. Except that's, I'm thinking that an SMG would be the best, and probably carrying 2 of them. Agility, gunslinger, master use of handguns and SMGs, running gun for sure, all the way up, light armor, and enough parkour to be able to jump over those 3 high blocks. And sufficient intellect to get into some physician levels, perk books, automatic weapon handbook, I think. No, still, I don't think an M60 or an AK-47 would be ideal because they're too heavy and cumbersome. See if there's, oh, Pistol Pete. .9mm handgun. To learn about pistols and submachine guns, SMG. So it looks like that would be the thing to do when getting the character and the skill points. Plus, of course, there's also, yeah, I just went through that. These different skill books, the different books, getting all of them, like Pistol Pete. You want to get all 7 books. It's about the only one in there that looks like it would be advantageous. You don't need Sniper because that's only for that's only for snipers, hunting or use of sniper weapons. So it looks like the automatic weapon handbook, Pistol Pete, would be the one you'd want to max out, get all 7 books in the series. And the other perks, perception, strength, health, agility, intellect. That's the perk books. Crafting skills, don't really need to worry about that. Nothing in there absolutely essential. This just allows you to build, as you gain these books, it allows you to build more and more sophisticated weapons. Well, hopefully you start out with creating your character here in the creative mode. Although, if you're playing a regular game, without doing that, you can slowly build up towards having a character with all those attributes. Anyway, until we come back and actually do a Hoard here, that's going to be it for now.